Fitz Billy to fight crime in Turks and Caicos. Fitz Billy, who was in charge of the crime and security portfolio at the Jamaica Constabulary Force (JCF), has been appointed Deputy Commissioner of Police in the Turks and Caicos Islands. The government of the British Overseas Territory has endorsed the appointment, which is expected to begin on Monday, October 7. Billy retired last month from his post as Deputy Commissioner in the JCF after serving more than 40 years in the constabulary. He will arrive in Turks and Caicos on Sunday, ahead of starting his new role the following day for an initial period of 6 weeks. The newly appointed Deputy Commissioner is expected to use his wealth of experience in dismantling the Klansman, Kings Valley, and other gangs in Jamaica to halt the flare-up of violence in Turks and Caicos. In 2022, there were 34 murders in Turks and Caicos, a record high for the country. There are no fears that 2024 could be more bloody, with 32 murders committed so far this year. Billy holds a Master's of Science in Psychology and Criminal Investigation from the University of Liverpool, a Master of Science in National Security and Strategies from the University of the West Indies, Mona, and an Associate Degree in Accounting from the Management Institute of National Development. He has also been awarded the Order of Distinction in the Rank of Office (OD) in Jamaica. Billy, 60, will work closely with Turks and Caicos Police Commissioner Edwin Martin, who went on leave on October 1. Manchester man who allegedly shot another in the face turned himself into the police. A 24-year-old Manchester man is facing several charges including wounding with intent and possession of a prohibited weapon after reportedly opening fire at another man during a confrontation on September 25th. Charged is Jamar Plummer, otherwise called Don, of Trinity District in the parish. In addition to the possession and wounding charges, Plum has also been charged with unauthorized possession of ammunition and using a firearm to commit a felony. Reports from the Force Police are that about 7:50 a.m., Plummer, who was reportedly driving a motorcycle, attacked a man and opened gunfire, hitting the man in the face before fleeing the scene. On Monday, September 30, Plummer was brought into custody by his attorney, where he was formally charged. He is to appear in the Mandeville Parish Court on Wednesday, October 9. Finance Minister appeals for patience as probe into fraud hit SSL continue. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark is appealing for patience as the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions (ODPP) reviewed the files associated with fraud hit Stocks and Securities Limited (SSL). Dr. Clark's appeal comes amid discontent among several persons, especially on social media, over the pace at which the SSL probe is being conducted. In a statement, he noted that after the Financial Investigations Division submitted its finding to the DPP for it to make a ruling, several meetings have taken place. Dr. Clark pointed to the government's engagement of Global Association, a global firm of forensics auditors, to assist in the investigations. This, he said, is a great demonstration of transparency.
The FID reported in December 2023 that they had submitted a file on their findings in the SSL investigation to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for a ruling. At the time, the FID stated, quotes, prosecutors are reviewing the evidential material with a view to discerning the possible charges. I've been informed that since that time, the FID and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions have met on several occasions, including within the last month, in regards to the review of the comprehensive and voluminous SSL investigative file. Among other things, the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions has recommended that the FID collects 3 further statements, the process of which has already commenced. I totally understand the frustration and the desire for tangible results. I share these feelings too. However, I ask the public to reflect on the fact that there can be no better demonstration of transparency in this matter than our decision to procure the services of an international forensic audit firm to support an independent and thorough investigation, as we have done. And there can be no better indication of the importance attached to this investigation than the fact that, despite the complexity of this matter, with 200 affected accounts, and despite the timeline of the fraud that spanned more than a decade, Jamaica's investigative bodies were able to submit a file to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions in December 2023 for an investigation that began in January 2023. I cannot think of a precedent for this level of efficiency among similarly complex financial frauds of the past. Finally, we must remember that the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions is a constitutionally independent office with great expertise and experience. I appeal with the public to continue to exercise patience as this independent constitutional authority carries out a diligent and meticulous review of the SSL investigative file so that culpable persons may be held to account.
21-year-old dies in Bull Bay crash. A 21-year-old man died from injuries he received in a motor vehicle crash in 8 Miles Bull Bay in St. Andrew on Thursday. He has been identified as Ramesh Ladley of Borough Avenue, Kingston 17 address. Reports from the Bull Bay police are that about 12:30 a.m., Ladley was one of 3 men traveling in a Toyota Mark X motor vehicle that crashed into a utility pole. Ladley was flung from the vehicle. He was pronounced dead at hospital. The other 2 occupants of the vehicle reportedly fled the scene of the accident. An investigation into the incident is ongoing. UWI professor notes unfairness of expecting students to perform in an uncomfortable environment. Climate scientist at the University of the West Indies, Mona Professor Michael Taylor, says it is an unfair ask to expect students to perform in classrooms that are not conducive to a cool environment. He put forth the argument during a sitting of Parliament's Public Administration and Appropriations Committee. Professor Taylor, who was delivering a presentation on climate change and its implications for Jamaica, posited that the education industry was among several sectors generally overlooked when the impacts of climate change are explored. He pointed to last year's record global temperatures and how heat conditions widen the learning process in classrooms. Noting that rehabilitative work are being undertaken at several schools, Professor Taylor called for these works to include changes that consider the impact of heat. Professor Taylor's sentiment was echoed by Director of the Institute of Sustainable Development at the University of the West Indies, Dr. David Simmet, who stressed that need for air conditioning units to be installed in classrooms.
The education sector is really taking a beating from climate and especially from heat. It's an unfair ask to ask kids to perform in the kind of classrooms that they have. Especially, and you know how our classrooms are built. They are built really to protect from theft. And so you have concrete with what they call the little breeder block and the zinc roofs, and then fully concrete outside. That's an unfair ask, to ask. And we have not paid attention, I have to say, as a country, to the impact.
Research shows very clearly that children learn less well the warmer it is. It's not just that they're uncomfortable and irritable. They don't learn. So what we are looking at is a situation where, as our schoolrooms become warmer and warmer, our ability as a country to develop the human capital we need to run our economy gets worse and worse and worse. So putting air conditioners in school classrooms is not a matter of comfort and luxury. It is what we absolutely need to build the human capital we need to get to where we would like to go.
I'll pick up from where Dr. Smith left off a while ago. Yes, it's important to put the ACs in the classroom, but don't divorce that from now what your commitment is under the energy sector policy. You can't certainly put them in there and then run them off of fossil fuels, because then you have a challenge. You've made 2 commitments. It is clear we do need to figure out cooling, but we have to do it in a way that is consistent now with the other commitments that we have made, energy and the NDCs, etc., etc. And that's critical.
Close to 400 schools benefited from infrastructural upgrades to accommodate physical challenged students. Close to 400 schools are now benefited from the infrastructural upgrade to accommodate physical challenged students. This according to Education Minister Favor Williams, who notes that the government has been building out ramps in schools to ensure the students who are using wheelchairs have access to classes. Meanwhile, Mrs. Williams noted that almost 3,500 shadows have been provided to assist students with special needs as they navigate the school.
Physical infrastructure for physically challenged students. Every year we add to the number of ramp that are at schools. I think now we're approaching 400 schools with ramp to ensure that those who are physically challenged and have to use a wheelchair, that they're able to access classes. Additionally, we're beginning for those schools with multiple levels to put in lifts so that our students have access as well. We're not there yet in terms of saying 100% of our schools have ramp, but we have a pathway to get in there, and every year there's budget for installation of ramps in school. Shadows, we provide shadows for those who need it in the system currently. I think it's almost 350 shadows that we have in the system that do get a stipend to help those children in classes who need the help while they're in class. They could need help coming from home to school, school to home, and so on. And we consider this a significant benefit that we're able to provide to our students.
JLP Samuda declared official winner in St. Ann Northeastern by-election. The Jamaica Labour Party JLP Mattis Samuda has officially been announced as the winner in Monday's by-election in St. Ann Northeastern. The final counting of ballots was completed on Wednesday by the returning officer for the constituency. It revealed that Samuda received 4,820 votes. He beat independent candidate David Fitz Anderson, who got 216 votes, and Chase Neal of the United Independence Congress, who received 31 votes. The final count indicated a voters' turnout of 11.7%. After completing the final count, the returning officer has 7 days within which to submit his official report and election documents to the Director of Elections as required by the Representation of the People's Act. A preliminary count on Monday showed that Samuda claimed 4,838 votes to Anderson's 222 votes and Neal's 30. The by-election was announced following a sudden resignation of the JLP's March estimate. Remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.